I guess, when it pops up on YouTube. You gonna share it? Oh, I'll share it. I'm right here in the computer.
Okay. Oh, that's why. Because it blends in with the couch behind me.
Oh yeah.
Can't even see it with the blurred background. I think it's blurring my beard.
Uh,
Hmm.
so I don't know if you guys see it on YouTube. It's kind of
Uh,
weird. It's focused on one screen at a time. Huh.
oh yeah, I
Do you
see.
have it
Uh,
on speaker mode and not whatever it's called, gallery?
yeah. Is that the way your screen is?
Let's see. Let's see if it switched it up. I mean, it's on gallery and there you go. It fixed it. Sorry for the technical difficulties over there in YouTube land, but it's been a while since we've been on here. And as you see three of the four familiar faces. Storms, what's going on, man? How how you doing? How you been?
You know me, bro. I'm just happy to be here. Um, nah, man, it's been a minute. It's been a good season and a wild deadline, man. This is probably the craziest deadline in MLB history if you take in both days into account. We had 16 day trades the day before the deadline. I can't remember the last time that happened.
And a shit ton of trades the day of the deadline. A flurry of
Hmm.
trades the last couple minutes too. Kyle, what's going on, man? How you doing on the other side of the world, bro?
Good. Real good. It's glad to be back. Yeah, like Jorge said, I've been in Korea for almost a year now. I'm gonna be leaving here pretty shortly. Pretty excited to get back. Headed to England for a little bit and still gonna watch some ball and hopefully be on a little bit easier of a schedule to be back on with you guys.
Nice. Hopefully, man. Well, let's get it going. Like I said, we saw a flurry of trades this year, and we wanted to pick a winner and a loser on each side. But I want to know what you guys think. First off, give me your loser and Storms. I'll throw it over to you first, bro. What you got?
Man, I got the Twins. I mean, I think that's pretty easy. They pushed everybody who's making any money out the door, which it makes sense with the new ownership coming in and everything. But they really didn't get much back. I mean, it's a true full on reset. Um, but yeah, that's my overall loser, and then my NL loser is actually going to be the Cubs because they added some, but man, they missed out on a real opportunity. They needed to add a top end starter. Same thing I said before we went live. The Tigers missed out on. They were the team that needed to go out and add a Dylan Cease, Merrill Kelly, somebody that could slot in the top three spots in the rotation. Um, because the Brewers, as much as they are perennially underrated, that are not going to go away.
Especially with that pitching they have this year, man. They're scary. And that lineup, top to bottom, they have the fastest and probably the best lineup as far as team speed, man. So you're 100% right. Now, as far as the Cubs go, that's I talked about it on the show with Johnny, man. They needed a third arm. They got Boyd, they got a manga back, and it's like after that, who do you have? And we've seen in the playoffs where it's good to have a third arm that can eat up 4 or 5 innings when one of the aces doesn't have it going, or just a spot start. They're gonna need that. And even though with all that offense, and we talked about it, Storms, in prep in other chats, they have the best offense of all of baseball. But if you don't have pitching, how far are you going to go? They're really relying to go like Dodgers did last year, makeshift pitching staff, but do they have enough pitching to do it? Kyle, what you got, bro? Who's your losers, man?
Um, so my losers are gonna be. I'm gonna start with the Pirates. They had a bunch of guys that for sure are disgruntled. O'Neill being one of them, not putting in the effort, doesn't necessarily want to be there. He's still hitting missiles. He's still O'Neill Cruz. And the Pirates, man, and I think I can say this for all of Pittsburgh, right? Like they need to sell the team. They need to do something, right? As we spoke before the show, if they get rid of some of these guys, that's going to be a really disgruntled fan base. But if you can compete in the next couple of years, that's where you're going to be at, right? But you have Pham, IKF, Miller, and Heaney that they could have gotten huge returns on, and build your future, and they just did nothing. It seemed like they did nothing. We're going to talk about some of those other guys that did get traded out of there, but that's definitely one of my losers. And then on my AL side, it is going to be the Twins. Listen to John Boy. He mentioned getting rid of Correa didn't make a lot of sense other than being a money dump. Correa is the guy that brings leadership to a very young infield that needs leadership. He brings veteran leadership to the clubhouse to go to the skip and say, hey, man, we need to figure this out because this doesn't make sense or this doesn't make sense. And they just got rid of him, right? He did say, hey, if I was going to get traded, I'd waive my no trade clause, go back to Houston, play third base, which is what they granted. But did it make sense right now when they needed leadership more than anything? I don't think so. But that's just my thing with the Twins. And then their asking price for Joe Ryan for the Red Sox. They wanted Bregman, Cedon, and Roman Anthony to replenish everything that they just lost, and that just to me is just silly.
And the Red Sox the Red Sox were like, no.
Yeah,
I missed
we're
I missed the part where Joe Ryan also hits 40 home runs and drives in 100.
Yeah.
That's a Johnny right there.
And it was funny because somebody I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, Joe Ryan officially got traded to the Red Sox, and it was like only for like 3 minutes, but it was an official report. And then like after the fact, when they backtracked on it, like actually he didn't get traded. Everyone's like, what a great career in Boston for Joe Ryan, 3 minutes. Like it was just wild, dude. It was wild.
Oh man,
I feel bad for there's a couple fans that went and ordered themselves a custom Joe Ryan jersey.
Probably, man. Probably.
They're pissed. But so your Twins is the AL, and then your NL was who?
The Pirates.
The Pirates. And
Yeah.
we talked about it here before we got on. The Pirates, they had a lot of expiring contracts. They have kind of Falefel they could have traded. They got Heaney they could have traded. They could have gotten a good return for O'Neill Cruz. Dude, and Storms, you said it before we got on here too. They probably would have gotten the most return out of any team ever in the trade deadline by just trading those three players that we just named. And if you wanted to take it a step further, which we knew wasn't going to happen, getting rid of Skeens. Skeens, you build your team around the player like that. They weren't going to get rid of him. And if they did, we knew that the city of Pittsburgh wasn't going to be the city of Pittsburgh because there wouldn't be any city of Pittsburgh anymore if that would happen. Because Skeens is the face of that franchise right now. So they weren't going to get rid of him. But how about let's expand on something that we talked about before we even got on here, bro, fellas. What the Giants did. How about the Giants? Go ahead, Kyle. You wanted to touch on this, man. With the Giants getting Devers, and now
it seemed like Buster Posey was like, "Hey, man, we're all in. We're gonna go get Devers. We're gonna make this trade, get these guys out of the bullpen, and make a run for it, right?" And then they were like, nah, we're not gonna do that, man. Like we're gonna get rid of Doble. We're gonna get rid of Yaz, and then they're gonna get rid of what's his name? The
Roger.
submariner.
Roger.
Rogers, right. Rogers, who has like a 1.8 ERA. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like you said you went out and made a huge trade for a guy who has a huge contract just to say, nah, we're gonna get rid of some guys and start the year fresh next year. Right? Like what obviously there's more to baseball operations and GM stuff that we obviously don't see, but it just doesn't make sense. What
Yeah.
about that makes sense?
It was yeah, you're right. They traded for Devers and then they went, I can't remember the number, something like 19 and 31. And then it was like he was just like, shit, guys, my bad.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into this team, the Padres, a little in a little bit, but I think the Giants did the exact opposite of what the Padres are doing. The Padres went all in to try to win the division. The Giants are like, no, we don't need it. We're good. You
We're
know?
happy where we are.
Yeah, right. Like we're all right.
We're content.
So, nah, I agree with you guys. Let me touch on the Twins a little bit. The Twins just completely blew it up and got rid of Correa with what you were saying, Kyle. And there was a lot of Twins players actually upset the day of the trade deadline and the day after saying, what are we doing? And they have a point to be upset. I mean, you're trading one of the leaders on the team to the team that he came from, Houston. And I told Kyle, I told the Storms jokingly, this is definitely the most ultimate rental ever with Correa going back to Houston and to play third base because they already have another good caliber shortstop in Pena that's coming back from the IL.
It's the most expensive
So,
rental ever.
huh?
I said it's the most expensive rental ever.
Oh, hell yeah. By far.
And the return wasn't even that good either.
No, I
It
don't
was just
think
like none of it made sense.
right. The
It
return,
was yeah, no, that was I feel like Carlos Correa won that trade and not
Yeah.
not the Twins and not the Astros.
yeah,
Yeah.
because ultimately he was the one that said, if I'm gonna get traded, I'm gonna go back home. And
Yep.
that's exactly what happened. He wasn't going anywhere else. And the Twins were like, cool, go home. We'll give you that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as that goes, yeah, I'm with y'all. Now
I
let's go. Go ahead.
Oh, I want to touch on one more thing. I
Sure.
saw somebody said something on I think it was on Facebook or on Instagram. It was funny. They're like, wouldn't it be crazy if Bregman went back home and play second base?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Just everyone goes back home, back to Houston, just to finish out their careers.
That would be nuts, and then walk out, with their career, just get another ring, and that's it. That would be nuts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all right,
I have a feeling if they did that in a year or two, it'd be more like the Paul Pierce KG Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, yeah.
man, you.
It'd be an old timers game, is what it would be.
All right, so winners, we got a lot we can pick from. To be honest with you, we have the Cincinnati Reds, which I like what they did. Storms, I see your shirt, you're wearing it. I really like what they did with picking up Brian Haynes, bro. I really like that for them. He needs to hit a little more, but defensively, he
Hey,
shows up third base.
you know what? I know y'all saw that game last night. So the Reds gave up 8 runs in the top of the 8th to the Braves, and then turned around and came back in the bottom of the 8th and scored 8 runs on 8 consecutive hits to open the inning. And the man that kicked off that rally was Brian Hayes with his first hit as a Red with a 3-run home run,
I
which
that's why I
has
brought it
been
up.
the thing. So he only hit 2 home runs all year with the Pirates. The knock on him has been offensively, he hits way too many ground balls.
Yep.
And so what they got to do is, and Nick Kroll was in the booth for part of the Reds broadcast for last night's game, and he was talking about this. Is just just get him to level his swing out. He swings down too much.
He has an uppercut
And
swing.
yeah, and you don't want a guy who's constantly hitting pop-ups and hitting the ball in the air every time. But, if you can get some more line drives out of his bat than ground balls, you're going to have a really special player over there at third base. And he's already, he made an error and another play that could have been an error last night. I'll attribute that to nerves in his Reds debut, but he is currently graded as the best player in the sport defensively at third base.
Yes, he is.
Mhm.
That's
So,
what.
and then they added Zach Littell, and Nick Martinez is going to the bullpen, which is, the bullpen is where we were really lacking, but that's going to be a big boost in that department. And then, you got Hunter Green, who's been out for about a month now, coming back. That's almost like another addition. So, we're in good shape. However, the team I thought we were going to overtake before 3 days ago, my clear winner at the deadline, the San Diego Padres. Holy shit, AJ Preller.
Are they going to make the playoffs now?
They are 100% going to make the playoffs. AJ Preller is the trade deadline king.
Mhm.
That guy, he never fails to make it interesting. He never fails to make a blockbuster deal. He went out and filled every single hole on that roster. He went and got a closer that nobody thought was available in Mason Miller.
Mhm.
And they gave up Leo DeVries in that trade, which is a big deal. But I think long term, I think both teams win this trade.
Mhm.
But and then the A's threw in JP Sears, which is a left-handed, solid back of the rotation arm.
Yep, serviceable.
They added Nestor Cortez from the Brewers for rotation depth. I know he hasn't been good this year, but if they can figure him out, he can slot in at the 4. What else? They went and got Fermin from the Royals for an upgraded catcher.
Which anything would have been better for them at catcher because they haven't
Yeah.
done shit at catcher this year.
He's not an offensive upgrade over Elias Diaz, but he's a much better defensive catcher.
Yes.
It's going to be a big time upgrade. I think Diaz, they're still going to figure out ways to get his bat in the lineup. But what else?
O'Hearn.
O'Hearn and Laureano, man, they got the left fielder they needed, the lefty bat that they needed. O'Hearn can DH. This is a scary team moving forward. And AJ Preller, just hats off, man. That's 2 or 3 years in a row you went out and had arguably the best deadline in the majors. And it's not his fault that it hasn't worked out so far. Who would have thought that a team with Machado, Tatis, and Soto couldn't make it to the World Series?
That's and what's wild about it is who would have thought that lineup would have been struggling as much as they have.
Yeah.
They've been
He's gone
struggling.
out and put together the best roster on paper 3 or 4 years in a row, in my opinion.
You're absolutely
And I don't even, regardless of what the Dodgers have, I really don't think it's that close. It hasn't translated as you would like it to, but he's gone out there and put them in the best possible position time in and time out, or time and time out, whatever.
So time out. I like that. So we got a couple of comments here. We got Dion saying it feels like there's more losers in the trade deadline than winners, and he's saying my winner is Seattle. So Dion, if you have your Seattle's your winner, who's your loser? And how about I don't know who your winner is, Kyle, but how about what both New York teams did to shore up their bullpen, fellas?
So I know when we talked before the show, we talked about like winning teams. I'm gonna say if you are a back end bullpen guy, you won, right? Because you now are on contending teams,
Right.
right? And when we talk about contending teams, The three that really stood out at the trade deadline were, and I hate to say this, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Padres.
That hurt your soul. I felt
It
that.
did. It did. But shout out to Vic. I'll give that one to Vic. But like, yeah, man, the winner really is if you're a back end bullpen guy because your market was so high. Everyone's hurting for relief pitching. Everyone's hurting for closers. Now you just went out. All three of those teams went out and got guys that can literally just one inning, the sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, all the way through. You know what I mean, or whatever the case is. I mean, those three teams really went out and got it, and it's really hard to pick that. But I mean, if we're looking at winners, I mean, Padres pretty easy on that side. Yankees are pretty easy on the AL side. There are some stuff mixed in there. Seattle, I think, they needed somebody that could hit for average, so they went out and got Naylor. Naylor's hitting almost 300 with I think 11 or 12 home runs right now, and then they went back and got Suarez. Like they got exactly what they needed for that lineup because that's all that lineup was needing was somebody that could protect Cal Riley, and then they had somebody that protects Suarez, which is Naylor. And you put Naylor in the 5 slot, and that puts Randy in the 6 spot. I mean, that's pretty solid lineup and they have all the pitching in the world, right? I think moving forward, Seattle is going to be really scary. I winners on that side, on the AL side, I think would be just Yanks and Seattle, leaning more Seattle, in my opinion.
So I agree with you. What Seattle did is nuts, and their 1 through 6 is nasty. They got Crawford, Rodriguez, Arozarena, Cal Riley, Suarez, and Naylor, and you can basically flip flop them any which way you want in that lineup. Because those you have outside of Suarez in that lineup, people that don't strike out a lot. They got Naylor exactly for that reason, and he's a lefty that hits with power, but he's more of a gap to gap hitter. And Riley, he's been doing the offensive carrying this whole year, and now he has 2 other bats to basically help him. Now, as far as the Mets and the Yankees, they got a starter by basically shoring up their back end of the rotation, meaning they don't have a third arm. Their pitching staff is weak, and we know that that's going to be that's their weakest link. So in the third game of a playoff series, they can literally throw any starter for 3 innings, and from the fourth to the end of the game, they could close you out with a different pitcher each inning, and it's a closer coming in. You don't see that in any team but their team now, and possibly the Phillies. You know, we got to throw the Phillies in there too, because what the Phillies did getting Durant, you know, that was a huge pickup by them. But Storms, talk about that. You mentioned it a little bit about bringing in closers in the 5th and 6th inning and basically having shutout innings.
Oh, dude, what the Yankees did, in my opinion, so they went out and they got David Bednar. They got what's Bird's first name?
Bird and Doval.
Yeah. These guys are all guys who have experience closing. So in these meaningful games down the stretch and in the playoffs, if they don't get length out of their starters, they're going to be able to bring in guys like Mark Leiter to throw the 4th and the 5th, and then they can go 6, 7, 8, 9 with closers, guys that are experienced and comfortable in the high leverage situations. You know, all this high pressure. I mean, it's going to be a huge advantage for them. And then they went out and traded with the Rays for Jose Caballero too, which is really, really big for them, in my opinion, because you've got Anthony Volpe, who it seems like his bat has started to come around, but he's gotten to a point where every time the ball's hit to him, you hold your breath because you don't know if the ball's going to end up in the first baseman's glove or in the first base dugout.
Chuck Knobloch.
Right. And trading for Caballero gives you a really solid defender who's not only a utility man but can play a good shortstop, and gives you the opportunity, if they think it's necessary, to send Volpe down and let him figure out, his throwing before he comes back up. And you've got Ahmed Rosario that can back him up. And Caballero is not just a solid defender. He's okay at the plate. He's got 34 steals. I mean, he's going to bring a lot to this team, who, as Kyle pointed out, is not the most solid fundamentally. And as the Dodgers famously exploited in the World Series. But again, you go back and you put this bullpen on that Yankees team last year, and you may end up with a different result.
100%.
Judge still drops that ball.
Yes, he did.
and Cole didn't cover first base, so
Yeah.
so there's still that.
But something else I wanted to point out before I forget. Another thing that is just incredibly impressive with what AJ Preller did today and yesterday and the day before. Every single one of the guys that they brought in and added to that roster, except for Ramon Laureano, are still under team control next year.
Mhm.
Yep.
And some of them beyond. A couple, 2 or 3 of those guys are in pre-arbitration, so they've got 3, 4, 5 years out of them.
Yeah.
And I agree with what Vic said right here, and I was going to touch on this a little bit. How about the Yankees pivoting from Suarez and not giving up too much and getting McMahon? I think that's big. And he's right, with Judge being
I forgot about McMahon, yeah.
Yeah, that's a left-handed power bat in that short right field, bleachers. I like that pickup. We haven't touched about that, but I like that for them a lot. They needed a third baseman. They tried Jazz at third base. It didn't work. They moved him over to second. Now they have a legit defensive third baseman that also hits with power. And they didn't give up a lot to get him. And they didn't have to necessarily put their names out there to go get Suarez, which is smart by Cashman. I mean, I agree with you there, Vic. You can delete that comment though. I still don't think the Yankees won the trade deadline because they didn't. It's
Hey,
part of
the
the Padres.
Yankees are my AL winners, but not even close to my overall winners.
There you go. Okay, we'll give you that, Vic. Hey, but we got a good question here by Dion. He asked, has this trade line have any effect on the upcoming free agent market in your opinions? I think it did in the sense that we are seeing the relievers are going to get a lot more money and a lot more attention.
Mhm.
The baseball has gone the way to where the starting pitchers is only going at the most 5 innings of most of the average, let's say.
I wouldn't even use innings. I wouldn't even use innings as the benchmark. I would say pitches. I would say 100 pitches.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So now we're seeing two teams in the Yankees and Mets that have shored up a lot of relievers to eat up a lot of innings. So they're working their 9 innings forward instead of from the first inning to the ninth. So they're thinking of the fifth to the ninth instead of from the first to the fifth. So
Yep.
yes, I think it did change the free agent market as far as the relievers go. What do you guys got to say about that?
I think you're hitting it right on the head right there. The only team that really doesn't have that issue is the Phillies, right? Because almost all of their starting pitchers are going 6, 7 innings at this point, which is why it was big for them to get Duran. But like the other 2 New York teams that you talked about, right? Like now they're starting to think, okay, let's worry about the middle innings. And I think that's where the free agency going into next year is going to play, right? They're going to pay these guys big money because these guys, even though they're going to pitch a crazy amount of innings throughout the year, these are going to be the guys that are going to get you through the postseason, because we know the starters are going to give you whatever innings they can during the postseason, but it's those middle innings is where you're going to win the game going into the postseason.
Harrison Bader, I think, was an underrated ad for them too.
Oh, for the
Yes.
Phillies? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Depth in the outfield and somebody that can play all over the outfield and, right-handed bat.
And one of the better outfield defenders in the game.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that.
All
But
right.
yes,
Oh, so another point I wanted to make in terms of team control. Not only did the Yankees go out and strengthen their bullpen and make the back end of their bullpen, it's like it's not the best in the game, but it's like diet Padres bullpen. You know, I mean, kind
Padres
of,
light,
but
Timu
all
Padres.
three of those guys that they added are not only these high leverage guys, but they all three of them are under control through at least 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And so something I said before we went live, what they did, they're still not a great fundamentally sound team, but what they did was they took a problem that they've had for 3-4 years and made sure that it's not going to be a problem for at least the next two.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And going back to Vic, that's why I think the Padres are the overall winner because they had holes, they filled them. And they filled them in with 3 players that are legit solid players that are going to contribute to them possibly winning the division. If the Dodgers continue to struggle like they have, here come the Padres.
They overtook Milwaukee as the most complete team in the net in probably all of baseball, in my opinion.
Absolutely right. Kyle, you got anything to add, bro?
No, man, I agree with you guys. It's really hard to say who the clear winner is of the trade deadline. But if we had to put something or somebody, it would have to be the Padres because they filled the holes that everyone saw they needed to fill with the guys, arguably the best guys they could put into those holes, right? And moving forward, the Dodgers starting pitching isn't good. Well, none of their pitching is good right now. They can hit the shit out of the ball. They got a struggling Mookie Betts. It's like where are they going? All right, how is this going to end at the end of the regular season?
And at this
Well, we know
point, how do you fix?
What's that?
I said, and at this point, how do you fix Mookie? He's going on what 75 at bats in this slump.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
move him to
they
the
tried moving him to. I put him back in right field, but they've tried moving him to leadoff. That's not doing anything.
So this is why this year in particular, because of how the Dodgers have been struggling and the way they've been struggling, the Padres, the Padres and the Mets and the Phillies, what they did to go all in and to try to win a championship, they saw the window to do so. And the
Yep.
Cubs had the same opportunity and they didn't take that by not getting a starting pitcher, which is frustrating because they have the offense. Now they gotta rely on the little pitching that they have. But anyway, Vic has one more question before we go. He says, according to Cashman, there was no big time starter available. Is that true? Did we hear anything else as far as a starter being available? Because if there wasn't one available, he would have traded a top tier prospect like Jones to get one.
The only one I'm aware of that was being made available was Dylan Cease, and after seeing everything that San Diego did, the fact that because right up until I didn't hear it much the day of or the day before the deadline, but right up until then, all the reports were saying that Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez were definitely getting moved. And
Yep.
I think what ended up happening is AJ Preller had a last second change of heart and decided, you know what? No, we're going all in again, and we're going to give this maybe one last shot before. I wouldn't blame him if his patience is being tested. Maybe he blows it up next year if they don't win. I don't know, but I just get the feeling that Dylan Cease, when it came down to it, wasn't actually available.
I look at it the other way. I think Dylan Cease was available. I think the asking price was probably just astronomical, more than what they wanted, right? Because at the beginning of the trade deadline, everything was saying Jarren Duran was going to the Padres for Dylan Cease. And you got to look at what obviously there's probably more pieces to that, right? Because it's not just a 1-for-1 trade. It was probably a little bit more than that. But if you look at those two comparatively, Jarren Duran brings you um, an outfielder that can play anywhere in the outfield. He brings you a leadoff hitter. He brings you a guy that's stealing 30 plus bases, and he's gonna be the guy that leads extra base hits in the league. He brings a lot to the table, and that's still a huge ask for Dylan Cease to be available.
You're right, but then given what the Yankees did, and like, why is Robert Suarez still there?
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, I think to say that there wasn't a big name pitcher to a starting pitcher to be out there, I think that's not necessarily the words he might have want to use, because there were like Joe Ryan was out there. Joe Ryan's 10-3 this year with an under 3 ERA. That to me is and an all-star. That to me is a guy that's out there.
Well,
And they made that of very known that he was available.
the other big reason I think a lot of starters didn't get traded this year is because I mean Merrill Kelly, he hasn't been he's been okay this year, but you know he's an aging guy. He's at the point of his career where you're not going to expect him to be, you know, a top of the rotation starter, and that's fine. But he was also the best rental starter available.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a year where there were a lot of quality starters on expiring contracts. And I think that made a big difference too. You know, the market seemed to, that's usually where the market goes. That's, you know, most of the big time deals are these rental starters, and it seemed to more shift to the controllable relievers this year.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, a couple more comments here. He said, yeah, Cease is a hell not for me. And he said, I don't disagree with Padres winning the deadline. And he said, I don't think the Padres were ever going to sell based on what they did. I have one more question for you guys. And Storms, this was a big topic for us at the beginning
Well,
of the week.
can I address what Vic said first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think AJ Preller was ever planning on being a seller per se. I think he was dangling his biggest trade chip out there in an attempt to, you know, look what he just did with Juan Soto 2 years ago. He was trying to do the same thing with Dylan Cease. It didn't work out like Kyle said. He didn't get blown away with an offer, so he pulled him back off the market.
That's a good point. So I got one more question. Like I was saying, there's a team out there that we haven't touched on. They got a good starting pitcher, but a pitcher that probably is not going to help them this year. Probably help them next year. And we talked about it, Storms. If they didn't get a pitcher of this caliber, they probably will lose the first series they're in the playoffs. The Blue Jays. The Blue Jays getting Bieber. What do you guys think about that? How do you think he's going to help this team, whether it's now or in the future? Kyle, I'll throw it over to you first, though, because I know Storm's got a lot to say on this. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah. So Bieber to me was a very interesting pickup, right? So Bieber's been doing rehab starts down in the minors for a month or two now, and he's had a lot of people watching because it is still Shane Bieber, right? Now, is he going to do anything for them this year? Maybe not. I don't know. It's really just going to depend on how well he comes back. It's like his second or third Tommy John. It's you just don't know what he's going to look like. And they gave up, or excuse me, no, they didn't give up. They did go out and get some other pieces in Dominguez and Ty France. Ty France will just be another bat eventually, but getting Bieber helps them. But when, right? Is it going to be this year? I don't know. Could it? Very well, right? But I just don't see it doing what they think that they need it to do. Maybe he eats an inning or two here and there, or if he gives 3 or 4 solid innings to somebody, or in going into the end of the year, the dog days of the summer, or going into the postseason. But they needed to go out and get more, and they didn't. The Jays are still hitting; they're on fire right now. But fires eventually go out, and you need pitching to carry you there. So where does that take them next? That's my biggest question. Where does Bieber take you next?
All right. Storms, I know you're gonna sit on their pitching. Let's hear it, bro.
The only reason that the Blue Jays were not my AL loser is because the Twins brought back nothing of consequence for all the talent they shipped out.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a team with the second best record in Major League Baseball, mainly because, like Kyle said, they've been hitting. They've been getting contributions from guys like Ernie Clement, which if you'd have said that name to me before this year, I would have said, "Who the fuck are you talking about?" Like, I mean,
Who the fuck
it
is
is,
that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
but you know, it's just this is in my opinion, this is the team with the biggest pitching need in all of baseball.
100%.
They
Mhm.
don't. You look at every single team in the playoff picture in both leagues, and I can't find one that this rotation matches up with.
But you know what's
Yeah.
crazy though? It's not that they don't have the names. They do have the names. It's just that they're not playing up to their standard.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even that they have a bad rotation per se. I mean, you got Gausman, you got Scherzer, you got Barrios, cool, right? But I there isn't anybody on their roster that that I would say, okay, this person gives them an advantage in game 1 over Max Fried.
Right.
This person gives them an advantage in game 1 over Hunter Brown.
Right. Right.
That person doesn't exist on their roster. 5 years
Nope.
ago, it was Max Scherzer, and 5 years ago, it was Shane Bieber. But Scherzer hasn't been that guy in 3 years. We don't know what Bieber is going to look like when he gets back. He's in the middle of a rehab start.
Yep.
If he ever gets back to being Shane Bieber, it may be at the deadline next year.
Yeah.
And by that time, he's what, 37?
Yeah. I believe he's 37.
It's just
No, my bad. He's gonna be 31. But still, coming back from major surgeries like that, that's a big deal.
every single year the Blue Jays find a new way to disappoint me.
Wow.
And it's always pitching. It always revolves around pitching.
No, it's not always pitching. They should have extended Vladdy 3 years ago. They should. I mean, we could do another half hour on all the ways the Blue Jays have fucked up in the last 5 years.
We'll leave that for another show. How about he said there's a comment here by Views from the 22. Somebody's using that account saying thoughts on Columbus native Khalif Ferguson being traded to the Mariners. He was getting acclimated to the city of Pittsburgh per source. I think I know who made that comment, but we'll leave that internally.
Did you say Caleb for Caleb?
I mean Caleb. Yeah, you're right. You know me and names, bro. But we will leave that internally because we had sources in our insides that had that neighbor, by the way.
I wonder if that's a G14 classified source.
Right. But anyway, fellas, final thoughts before we get to the playoff push, which I gotta say. Storms, I'll start with you this time, bro.
AJ Preller, we are not worthy. Cincinnati, figure it out because some of your schedule just got easier, but the teams above you just got better.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Kyle, what you got, bro?
Looking back at my preseason predictions, I might be okay with my Seattle pick after all. Maybe. We'll see.
Man,
but
I'm getting more and more confident in my Rangers pick, too. It's going to be a hell of a race in the West.
Yeah, I think the West is just – it's going to be – I don't know. The Astros didn't really do a whole lot other than get Correa back, but
they also get Luis Garcia. and
You're
and
right.
Airbnb, and yeah, I mean, so they're gonna get better too. That's another team that probably still could have gone out and added a top end starter, but their rotation's still gonna get better.
Yeah. So we'll see,
Well,
man.
well, guys, it's coming to a playoff push. A lot of teams got better. Some teams did absolutely nothing. It's gonna be fun. A lot of baseball left for divisions and also the wild card. We should do this next week, guys. Let's see who we let's do it again and see who we pick as far as division winners now that we know what we know as far as the trades go. But all right, we'll see y'all hopefully soon. Later, everybody. Peace.